Welcome to the podcast. It is Brando. Welcome, Mr. Mark Tremonti. How are you, sir?
Good. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. Now that I'm talking to you, you may not remember because I know you're on a whole press tour now with the Sinatra record, which I can't wait to get into with you. But just real shortly at the beginning of quarantine, you might have been my first interview. So now you can see we're on Zoom. I have like a home setup. I had nothing. I was interviewing you with a cell phone held up to a laptop, but I didn't want to miss the opportunity to interview you. So,
Well, hey,
yeah,
one of the good outcomes of COVID is setting up cool home studios.
yeah. So I'm wondering if that's the segue into everything. I actually just watched again because I'm just blown away about a lot of what you've done in your career, which is why I'm excited to talk to you. But your voice for Sinatra, and I can't wait to hear the rest. Like, how did that start? And for those who don't know, and you're going to be honestly really surprised, because I knew you had a good voice. You're a musician, you're in a band, but to hit the Sinatra voice, it was one of those, like, I had to pause and make sure I was watching the right video and being like, is this like a cover band or no? I clicked Mark Tremonti. So that's coming out. The album is Tremonti Sings Sinatra, coming out May 27th. But right now you can see the video for I Got You Under My Skin. So did that kind of start at home, maybe? I guess, how did that whole project begin? And I know it ties in with your daughter, your beautiful
Yeah.
daughter.
Well, it's about, through my whole life, I've been a big fan of Frank Sinatra's. His voice, his songs just always put me in a good mood. And then Christmas time would come along and I'd sing along to his songs and it just kind of felt like home. It just felt like his range was suited my voice. So about 3 years ago, I had this night where I was on YouTube, couldn't fall asleep, and I ran into some old Sinatra videos and it chill bump moments. I was always a fan, but never like a crazy fan. And I became a crazy fan in an instant. And it's like, you know what? I want to sing just like this. So I think the video itself was The Song Is You that he performed back in, I think, 1943. And you see this young Frank Sinatra who looks almost shy on stage. And as soon as he opened his mouth to sing, it's just like, wow, this, he had it from a young age. And from there, I went down the rabbit hole, tried to learn as much as I could about him, read all the books, watched all the movies, sang along to his stuff. And I didn't know what I was going to do with it. And then my daughter was diagnosed with Down syndrome before she was born. And I had read in books that Frank Sinatra had raised over $1 billion for charity. So I was like, you know what? This is all meant to be. There's a reason for my obsession. I'm going to raise money singing a Frank Sinatra record for Down syndrome. And then I brought it up to my manager, who's like, funny enough, my guitar teacher growing up was Dan McIntyre, who toured with Frank Sinatra. So then we got the introductions to the Frank Sinatra band, and we recorded a record.
It is so cool because even I have a connection to Frank Sinatra. I'm too young to have seen him live, but there's a family bond there. I'm in Queens right now, but I temporarily lived with my grandparents when they were alive in Mill Basin, Brooklyn, taking care of them when they got older. And all they watched was, Turner Classic Movies. That's all they do. Yep. And I remember my grandma would always say, Frank Sinatra, she was an old Jewish woman. He was even better actor than a singer. We would watch all his movies. She had no idea what a computer was. My grandpa actually asked me one day what the internet was. How do you even respond with that? But I'm like, you know what? Let's watch Frank Sinatra. We would sit out on their porch. I would put on old concerts of Frank, and my grandma would be like, oh, I remember this one, and it was just really sweet and cool. So for you to be able to do this is just really special because, yeah, I'm a rocker just like you. I got my ears pierced. I got facial hair. And it's interesting because Frank has always been cool, though, for the rockers.
Yeah.
So it was almost a perfect fit, I guess, though, with that question, because while you could sing, how did you know, did you know you can croon, right, to use that word? Because that's a different style of singing.
I felt, when I would go and I remember going to like Christmas parties and whatnot, and there'd be karaoke going on. And I'm dreaming, it's Bing Crosby, but still that lower crooning stuff, I felt good about it. It wasn't, when I'm singing rock, I'm always singing way at top of my range and barely hitting notes and screaming like a caveman to sing. And when you sing like that, you can't really command your voice like you can when you're singing in your, almost like your speaking voice. Frank Sinatra kind of sang where he talked, you know, and his voice, his range suited mine very well. So I felt like, you know, it's one of those things where sometimes in your head you feel like you might be good at something, but you're like, maybe other people don't think I'm as good as I think I am. And, you know, because I practiced and I practiced and I practiced, and I finally got to the point where I'm like, you know what, I feel good about this. Hopefully when I record it, it sounds good. And I hope the Frank Sinatra band appreciates it, because they had never heard me sing before we got into the studio.
I mean, because I was just watching the video you have up on your YouTube, kind of the whole message of the overall project, and you were talking to the leader of Frank Sinatra's band, and I'm just thinking, like, you must be under the amount of pressure, because those guys, they've seen it all. They've been around Frank Sinatra. I mean, while I could be in awe of Mark Tremonti, they're probably like, who cares, you know? But to do your homework, that was the word that they used. They were impressed by you, and they didn't. When they did the research, I'm like, who is this guy? What kind of music does he sing? You know, and then he's welcoming, you're going into their world. Is there anything that maybe that wasn't on the video that, because I encourage people to do watch and go to your YouTube page, that maybe that first conversation, maybe we was like, no, this isn't going to work. Why, how can we, because again, you're not even just getting a band, you're getting Frank Sinatra's touring band. Was it an immediate yes that we'll do this, or was like, no,
it was a lot of work. You know, we climbed a mountain to get this project done, you know. So it first started out with my obsession and me singing it and feeling good about it. And then it getting a meeting with Mike Smith, Frank Sinatra's band leader, and Dan McIntyre, his guitar player, convincing them that was a good idea. Once they were convinced, they still had not heard me sing. My manager hadn't heard me sing Frank Sinatra. But being my manager, they asked, can your boy sing? And he was like, of course he can, because he's my manager.
Right.
So I sent my manager a vocal. I remember I was on my phone, and I'm like, all right, they call you Lady Luck. And I sang it to him over the phone. He's like, okay, yeah, I knew you could do it. You know,
that's all he needed.
So he sets up the meeting. And then the guys were like, all right, it's one thing if we want to do it, but you got to get approvals from the estate to do this, to use his name and likeness on a project. It's right. Near impossible. So my manager called the folks and called Charles Panone, who runs the business. And he's like, you know, no, we get 100 calls a month to do this kind of thing. No, exactly. Can't do it. So then by the third and fourth calls, I think he had said, you know, we're using the band that toured with Frank. These guys toured with Frank, and we're doing this for charity. It's for a good cause. And I think once he heard the first couple recordings that we did, he had called my manager, and I think he had said, yeah, the band really likes Mark, and we'll go ahead with this. But then it came to a point where we started recording, and I had done some outside arranging with some folks outside of the Sinatra camp to bring in charts. And the guys, when I brought in the charts, were like, let's just do the way they're meant to be done. You know, let's do them the way Frank would do them. So once we got in there, I was like, all right, yeah, sounds good to me. So we did Under My Skin and Fly Me to the Moon and Luck Be a Lady the way Frank Sinatra would have did them. But then, you know, the Sinatra states pretty much to get the support, we had to come up with different versions of these songs. At least about half the record had to be different. So because we wanted to get this record played on Seriously Sinatra Radio, we want to get the support of the family. So we took My Way, which I didn't really necessarily want to do in the first place because it's too popular of a song.
Okay.
So we did it with a nylon string guitar approach and made it a very different version than the normal version. We took All or Nothing at All and jazzed it and made it a swing version of that. We did the same thing with the song Is You. We took I Fall in Love Too Easily, which is just done on a piano. We added a rhythm section to it. We took the Wee Small Hours of the Morning and put a swing section all through that bridge that doesn't exist in the normal version. So we changed this enough to get the support from the family. And but to get this to the finish line was no easy task. It was a lot of work. And, you know, I'm just so happy that it's finally coming out. It's because there's a lot of moments where this might not happen. You know, there's a lot of those moments.
And I would ask what was, because yeah, there were probably a lot of points where you were discouraged and be like, this isn't going to work. But I got to imagine what kept you going is the picture right behind you, your daughter, Stella.
Oh yeah. The picture right next to me too.
I love it. The blow up picture. How old is she now?
Yeah. She's 14 months.
14 months. Well, mazel tov. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
So do you sing? Because one day, obviously she's too young to know the story. And perhaps within this, you can tell her story a little bit and why it inspired you, but you're going to have to tell her this story one day of all the things that you, with this record that was inspired by her. And you also, with that, do you sing Sinatra to her? Like, is that
Every
you?
day.
Good. Cool.
Every day. Yeah. So, you know, I knew I was going to do this project before she was born because we got the diagnosis when she was in the womb. So, so usually our daily thing here is my wife wakes up with my older sons at about 6:30 in the morning, gets them off to school, comes back to bed with the baby, and then the baby wakes up around 8, and that's when I get up with the baby until about noon when she takes a nap. So those first few hours of the day, it's just me and her, and I'm practicing my Sinatra stuff with her in her nursery. You know, I'll just put the phone on her bed and I'll just sing along, and she'll just smile. You know, as soon as I start singing, she smiles. There's some songs she doesn't like. She doesn't like Buck Be a Lady. If I sing that song to her still to this day, they call you Lady Luck. So she'll like,
that's funny.
She doesn't like I Fall in Love Too Easily. She doesn't like the melancholy songs. She likes The Song Is You is her favorite song.
Okay.
She loves Wave. That's another one of her favorite. When you go together, that low note on that song, she's all smiles. But she's used to it. She loves it. I think it's going to be her comfort music when she grows up. You know, my other kids were in the womb listening to metal all the time. But I think she's more going to be the big band girl.
I love that. What do your other kids think about you doing this?
I think the more they grow up, the more they realize what it is. You know, when they were younger, they'd be sitting at the venues with playing video games on whatever device they had on the side of the stage. And I think as they grow up, as their friends realize what's going on, they think it's cooler. I think they love getting on tour buses and getting to see the world. They've seen more before the age of 10 than I saw in my entire life up until 30, you know, so they've experienced a lot of life. And it's just a shame though that most of their friends at that age aren't rock fans. They listen to whatever popular music is out there and they watch sports. You know, they're not the type of kids to have posters on their walls like we were when we were younger, you know.
Not even Sinatra is the cool factor for them yet.
They're not as familiar with Sinatra as we would be growing up with it our whole lives. They've grown up with it to an extent, but there's such an oversaturation of entertainment these days.
Yeah,
they're not listening to Frank Sinatra. They hear Sinatra because I pour it down. I put it in their face every day. They hear it in the car. My poor son Pearson would have to listen to it every single day going to soccer practice for a 45-minute drive there and 45-minute drive back. And I'd practice it in the car while he was at practice. So if there's anybody in the world that knows these songs as well as I do, it's Pearson, my son.
I love that. Actually, on that note, with you kind of stepping into your comfort zone and bringing attention to a lot of different things. I mean, not like Sinatra needs attention, maybe to the younger generation, as we established, but all the charity work that you're doing for the NDSS, and you put out in the video that I shared on social media, and again, it's on your YouTube channel. You want to put out a challenge to other artists that to step out of their comfort zone and raise something for charity. And I love when people do that anyway, like when Dee Snider went Broadway, Scott Weiland singing Christmas songs. It's always cool, but especially when there's a mission behind it, you know, that we all can get around, it just makes the feeling even better. Since this is Appetite for Distortion, and I'm wondering, you know, obviously, you know, Miles Kennedy, and he has the 6 Degrees of GNR Bacon, you know, Slash. I don't know how familiar you are with Duff. maybe put out a challenge to one of them. Maybe Slash does a country song. Maybe Miles does a rap. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm spitballing here, but like a
Well,
challenge, or is there an artist, another artist that you want to challenge to?
well, funny enough, Slash was the first person to come out and support this cause. He was, when we were first thinking about how are we going to market this and how are we going to get it to for a lot of people to know about it, Slash was nice enough to listen to the record and give us this glowing review of it, and said how important it is to him because he grew up with an uncle with Down syndrome, and he's just been so nice about this project. So he's definitely somebody I would love to see participate. And it doesn't have to be a whole record. It could be one song.
Right. Yeah, I agree with that.
It could be anything that raises money for charity. Duff, I did a tour with Duff. I don't know how many, we might have done a dozen shows or something, but the super nice guy, but I don't know him personally very well. I think Miles knows the guys way better than I do, but we've already, put the word out there. It could be an athlete, it could be an actor, it could be a country band, a metal band, whoever it is. I want to diversify to get as many people as possible to take a chance for charity. And if people are hearing about this for the first time, they can just go to TremontiSingsSinatra.com, and there's the directions on how you can yourself take a chance for charity. And you could be somebody with 10 followers on Instagram and do it. Go get our link, paste it, do a project. It could be funny, it could be serious, it could be anything you want it to be, as long as it's raising money for charity. I've already got Larry the Cable Guy, it's a good friend of mine, doing a project. Spoke with Chris Daughtry about doing a project. Blackstone Cherry, Edge, the wrestler.
Oh, cool.
Steve Stevens, Lone Star, the country band. Blackstone Cherry have reached out. So I want it to keep on spreading. I want to keep on getting as diverse people as possible to do this project. And I want it to become like the Ice Bucket Challenge.
You beat me to it. I was just about to say that. About to say that, but something cooler, I guess not literally cooler, because that would be the Ice Bucket Challenge. It would be a forever thing, wouldn't be a one and done. You did this thing, which is nice, raise awareness for, of course, anything, ALS in that case. But to forever have this record on tape that you can listen and watch with your daughter for forever, I think is so cool. So yeah, I mean, if Slash did a one-off banjo solo, for charity or something,
anything, because I know Slash is a busy guy, and everybody in the entertainment world with a platform worth making a big change is busy. But I think a lot of people are like me, and it's like, where's your time better spent than when you see the cause and effect of what this can change. It's one thing, becoming a support for your family and doing well for your kids and this and that. But when you can go in an organization and see all these people that you're changing their lives of, when you go to an event, a Down syndrome fundraiser, and you see all these wonderful people, and you just want to help them as soon as you see, because there'll never be a cure for Down syndrome. But there are many ways to assist folks to have more independent lives, to be able to communicate better as children, the speech therapies, the physical therapies. There's different challenges that folks with Down syndrome have that aren't necessarily something that otherwise that they would have. So it's good to have these opportunities. And NDSS, we hand over all the money, goes straight to them because they know how to spend it. They know the best ways to help. And take a chance for charity initially will be for NDSS, but in the long run, I'd like it to be for everybody's charity. Like if somebody steps up to do this, say it's Paul McCartney, but Paul McCartney wants to raise money for some sort of cancer, tell your story of why it means that much to you because somebody in your life was affected by it. I'd like to see almost like an American Idol thing where you see the story before somebody performs and you're rooting for them because it's a heartfelt cause. These people are there and they've been through these struggles, and you want to see them succeed. I want this to turn into something like that, where you hear people's stories and why they're supporting these charities, and then you see the project, and hopefully you're blown away with how different it is.
Well, that accurately describes this project thus far. And I got to say, I don't have kids yet, but as a child with, I can't show you my leg braces right now, but I can show you my handicap tattoo. I have demyelinating peripheral neuropathy. It's kind of like a neurological MS, if that makes any sense. So just knowing what my parents have gone through, I mean, I'm okay now. I'm, getting married in a month, but I mean, for like a while, it's very, when you're a kid and you're different, it's just very, all you have sometimes are your parents. And knowing that she has had that support before she was even born, she's just, you're meant to be a dad. You're meant to do this with Frank Sinatra. So this was just super cool. I know, I don't want to get too mushy. So before you get out of here, I want to get, because people are excited to hear from you again. If you don't mind me asking you a couple fan questions.
Absolutely.
This is, and speaking of, we were just talking about Slash, and we did talk about this a little bit last time. This is from Satya from Canada. Have you played any new pinball machines? Because we know Slash is a major pinball guy, and you guys have talked shop about that. So any new pinball in your life?
Absolutely. I'm actually, I'm a pinball fanatic, and I'm actually partnering up on some future pinball projects. So keep an eye out. I can't discuss what they are because they're all top secret.
Okay.
But I have the newest machine I have is the new Rush machine, the Rush LE, which is a great machine. But before that, I got the new Godzilla machine, which is amazing. Speaking of Guns N' Roses, I got to play the new machine with Eric Muner, who's the designer, developer of that machine, and I'm good friends with Jersey Jack and the folks at Stern Pinball. Those are my two, Stern and Jersey Jack. I'm friendly with both those companies, and I love them. Chicago Gaming is another great company that's coming out with. I'm waiting. I've got an order in for Cactus Canyon LE, so I'm anxiously awaiting that.
Oh, you'll appreciate this then, because I just like with this, I interviewed Eric Muner or whatever, over Zoom. But my fiance is from Chicago, so we made a detour to Elk Grove to visit Jersey Jack and to see how they're made. So Eric gave me this. He gave me one of the side panels.
Oh yeah, nice. That's great. Yeah,
maybe like Vanna White.
Yeah. And it's the artwork on that machine is insane.
Yeah, from Arian Bueller does a lot. He's been a part of the show. He does a lot of those lithographs. So very cool. I should have worn my Jersey Jack shirt.
Yeah, man, I'm as much as I'm a fanatic of Sinatra, I'm a fanatic of pinball. When I get into something, I go deep.
Oh, that's what she said. Sorry, I couldn't help it. That was so bad.
I left it out. I left it out there.
I know. I should end the interview right now, but I can't, because this is Luca from Greece. He loves you too, and some things that you can geek out about as well. Are you planning to write another fiction book? A Dying Machine was amazing, so I would love to read more from him. This is from Luca again from Greece. Yeah,
that's something I'm working on currently. I'm rewriting A Dying Machine, trying to get a publishing deal. It's just the publishing world takes a long time, so fingers crossed that happens. But I've got another story on deck, and I tell this story at parties and stuff, and all my friends are like, "I like that way more than Dying Machine. Even I want to use this." It's called The Sand Runner, and it's a futuristic sci-fi meets, I don't know, it's hard to explain. It's a little bit of Mad Max, a little bit of Indiana Jones, a little bit of, I don't know, it's got a bunch of stuff going on.
All right, well, you got me sold. I mean, nice. What can't you do? I mean, it was very interesting to see the amount of, I don't want to say doubt, maybe concern, or just knowing the task ahead of you with Sinatra. But just look what, I mean, I used this analogy before. Look at the amount of crayons in your crayon box. You have so much to work with. You're not just a rocker. There's so many other things that make up Mark Tremonti. So that's why it was a pleasure to talk with you again. So I thank you again for your time.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And I love, all those doubts that you're talking about. I love hearing them because that's the whole essence of this this Take a Chance for Charity. I want people to doubt the next person that does this and say, what's this going to be like? I want that wow, that shock factor to happen.
Okay. See, maybe talk to Slash about playing the violin, talk to Miles about maybe doing some beatboxing, something crazy.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
Well, absolutely. I'd also like to keep up with the partnership of new artists performing with these legendary older bands, like, for an example, like getting Miles to sing with Earth, Wind and Fire or something like that, with original band members. And that's not talked about, but
okay.
That's just an example of, off the top of my head, the kind of project that I'd like to see happen.
Okay, awesome. Now I'm even more excited. We'll talk more about Miles and playing September next time around. Thank you again for your time, and until the next one. Thanks, Mark.
Awesome. Thank you. See you, man.
So that does it for this episode of Appetite for Distortion. If you were watching this on our YouTube page, you got to see the appearance of my missing tooth, one of my front teeth. Yeah, I'm gonna keep complaining about it until I get the implant later this year. It's just I don't know, it stinks because I hear it. I know most of you say you don't hear it, it's all in my head, but I hear it. And that's why, pulling back a little bit on the interviews. But again, if you have a chance to interview a big name like Mark Tremonti, I don't care. Slash sells seashells by the seashore with Snake Pit. I mean, I don't care if I have a little lisp there to interview somebody cool. And I was going to start doing fan reviews. Yeah, the Guns N' Roses were supposed to play their first show at Welcome to Rockville. And I'm sure it got rained out. I was going to have a couple fans on the podcast. Let me just give them a shout out because they deserve it. Dez Arcane. He was sending me some. Actually, he sent me. And Dez said this about Welcome to Rockville with it being rained out. He goes, the real story is that promoters let fans back in at 8:30. But obviously knowing the weather was going to cause a cancellation, they made a few more bucks. Well, we all got fucked in the ass. That's Dez's words. GNR stage crew was sound checking, and we expected Axel any minute. Then they pulled the plug. So that just absolutely sucks. And also got to thank, he's not an official member of Appetite for Distortion, but if you ask Loudwire, he is, Kevin Peebles. So Kevin tweeted a photo, which he sent me a photo in a DM, and I asked if I could share it, and I quoted him on it, tagging his Twitter, Ask KP, and it's a picture of him pretty close to the stage, and you see the beginning of what Guns N' Roses has as far as their video entrance, like all the cool graphics and CGI stuff, and so he's pretty close on the ground. But he writes this close to it happening. Crew set the stage. They were clearly rushing to get set so they could play. Spitting with rain, but then the lightning came. They cleared us out, and the rain is now the worst I've ever seen. Just a bummer for everyone who went down there. Whether you went down there just to see Guns N' Roses on a whim and you're not from Daytona, or just the locals in the area. Just a bummer, man. So it seems like the next show, the first Guns N' Roses show, is going to be in Portugal. So let's see if we can get a fan review for that. Okay, so that's something that I would like to do. If you're going to any Guns N' Roses shows coming up, hopefully none are canceled. I mean, I know you can't control the weather, but we live in a world where GNR shows are only canceled because of weather, not because of Axl. These are good things. Take the positive. So, again, if you are going to any of the shows in South America or Europe and you want to take part of this podcast and do a fan review with my lisp, let's do it. Hit me up on Twitter at the AFD Podcast, on Facebook, the AFD Show, or Instagram, Appetite for Distortion. Any of those ways. Email to the AFD Show at gmail.com. And I'll be talking to you soon. All right. And as far as upcoming guests, keep checking back on social media, how you can ask questions, how you can participate in episodes. And that's how the conversation continues in between the broadcasts. Okay. And also, please check out our YouTube page. Nearly every day, I am posting just old classic clips from Appetite for Distortion, interviews you've forgotten about, guests that we've forgotten about, and just throwing up a lot of cool pictures up there for your viewing and listening pleasure. Please follow and subscribe, as they say. That does it for this episode of Appetite for Distortion. When will you see the next one? In the words of Axl Rose concerning Chinese democracy, you'll see it, I don't know if soon is the word.
Thanks to the lame ass security, I'm going home.